Once you know a card's name, you don't have to call it that guy or what's her face.
No one has time for this pile of bullshit.
Earlier this week, I found out that Square Enix was partnering up with Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering to make a trading card release. I've never been that interested in Magic the Gathering as a game, and even though I know that people can get very much into different aspects of the game, I never had a reason to be very excited about it. Now, while I don't play Magic, I talked to somebody who did, and they tried to explain parts of it to me. A lot of it went right over my head, mostly because I don't play the game and I'm not terribly interested in learning the game. Magic the Gathering is the original card game that millennials love to the point they've created an entire subculture around card speculation and occasionally playing the game. Now, this Final Fantasy pack is going to come out on June 13th. It looks like there's going to be 4 collections, and there are at least going to be 100 cards. When I was asking somebody who knows a lot about the game questions about it, I think I would have gotten more interested in it, but I didn't understand a lot of the terminology, the different flavor and locations and different types of magic. Didn't make much sense to me. I was more interested in what would be on the cards than what the cards would do, because this is more of an interest in collecting the cards than actually using the cards. A lot of this is undercut by the actual pricing of the cards, because I don't think that they are at all trying to market this towards a younger audience. This is for millennials. This is for people who are already invested in the game. And I've seen other videos on YouTube where people directly talked about how they are going to get back into Magic because now it has Final Fantasy. If they started out at a reasonable price, I could have been persuaded to even give the game a shot, maybe try and learn it a little bit, but $200 for a commander set, $700 for 3, that's a little bit unreasonable. $700 you could get a PS5 and have enough money left over to get Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth, which are really fun games. Instead of spending too much time speculating on Final Fantasy VII Magic the Gathering cards, I thought it would be interesting to look at cards that already existed and see the likelihood that they're pretty much going to do the same thing and see what happens with that. So there was this print in 1996 from a company called Cardass. Yes, Cardass. And a lot of these sets go from anywhere from $50 to $200, and some of the cards can go all the way up to $3,000 individually, and $5,000 for 2. I would like to point out that this one Yuffie card is worth $3,000 because the best. One of the commander packs in Magic the Gathering is mostly focused on the older Final Fantasy games. Then you have the God tier Final Fantasy games. After that, they mainly focus on Final Fantasy XIV Online and the later games. Since a lot of people really aren't interested in Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 14 does have its favorite audience, the most popular valuable set will be the one that has the most Final Fantasy 7 cards. And if you look at what cards historically have been the most lucrative, if that's what you're into, then without a doubt it's going to be Tifa. That's going to become quickly the most valuable card in the set. Whoever finds a legendary or rare Tifa, shiny Tifa, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be the one that's worth $1,000 the fastest. So overall, I don't see the business standpoint from this too much, aside from the fact that Wizards of the Coast is trying to sell this as a one-off rare thing and make a lot of money from it. The cards will probably be banned from most tournament play, as far as what I've seen on messaging boards, and ultimately they'll become collector's items, which is probably the goal in the first place. In that case, cards that have Sephiroth, Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, Yuffie, Barret are going to become the most valuable, and those are going to be the rare cards that you pull from booster packs. Aside from that, you could go into the locations and speculation on which cards are going to be locations, but it's not even that hard because you just have to consider which cards are, which locations are already the best ones in Final Fantasy VII, and that would be Sector 7. It would be Tifa's Bar, 7th Heaven. You could even get Don Corneo's Mansion. You could get his Snow Inn. You could get Golden Saucer, Cosmo Canyon, Costa del Sol, Upper Junon, Lower Junon. Pretty much pick any place from the original Final Fantasy VII game. It would make a perfectly fine card to have as a plane or a mana pool. And as far as the average cards go, there's too many enemies in Final Fantasy that could be used. They could use slimes, but if you're looking for more iconic characters, then I would think that as far as cards that work together, you could have Avalanche be a lower tier set of cards that individually are okay, but when you put them together, they can have a special terrorism attack where they can blow up a reactor and do massive damage to the enemy. And the counter to the Avalanche would be the Turks, which individually are fine cards, but when together are more powerful. And on that same aspect, you even go for speculation on whether or not they'll include weapons in the game, and you might be able to pull out enough mana to get a weapon, like crystal or ruby weapon. And shoot, if they really wanted to go all out with the Final Fantasy aspects of the game, and you might even have the cannon in Upper Junon that you could use to defeat one of the weapons. The Northern Crater would be a good location. Sephiroth and Genova, that would be a good dual combination. I wouldn't be surprised if Ilfana is some sort of mana card. Have the life stream. Final Fantasy VII is really well set up to be made into a card game, and it's been made into a couple of card sets at least. And I don't think that they're really going to lose much money on this, because they're selling one time, limited quantity. They have their target audience, and people are going to buy it. So I'm not going to spend my money collecting it. If I were to collect anything, it would be just a few cards, but I haven't collected anything for quite a while. I thought this was interesting, but it's not enough to get me to play Magic the Gathering. That's all. Just a couple of thoughts that I had about this.